Good evening, people. And I realized that on my last broadcast that there was some reverb going on, and I really wanted you all to connect with me with that poetry because it spoke to what I was feeling at the time. Not that I'm not feeling it right now, because I tend to feel things for a very long time, if you get my meaning. I'm Joe Bright, and this is Poetry Song. The battle for dominance is on. Yes, it is. Why? Because poetry is something that drives us through every day. Well, mine anyway. And I constantly battle with the words in my mind and soul. Poetry Song takes everyday topics and puts them in verse for everyone. For you. The battle for dominance is on, people. Join me as I take you on my quest, my journey, I like to call it, through poetry song. You can follow me on mamayaya.wixsite.com. That's my website. mamayaya.wixsite.com// my website. Or you can follow me on Facebook at Excerpts from My Resume, or you could just Google me. That's what I like to tell people. Google me. You'll like what you see. And follow me. My chat box is now open. I have a special piece that I wrote earlier today that I wanted to share with everyone because it speaks to how I feel about the way things are. Yeah. Also, I have some things that I'd like to share with you that are just, part of who I am. I'm open. My chat box is open. Welcome to Poetry Song Battle for Dominance. Yes, I'm going to be right back with you. I want you to take a listen to this, and I'll see you in a few.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The grand scheme of things. Stop complaining. So you're hungry, but you don't want to cook. Somebody has no food. You don't like your old shoes. Somebody has been barefoot their whole life. You don't like your hair. Somebody lost all their hair to cancer. You wish you could go to the movie with your friends, but you have a responsibility to take care of first, and you feel slighted. Somebody is being bullied at school. You don't want to go to work. Somebody is standing in a food line. You can't stand your neighbor. Somebody just got hit by a car. You sleep on a flat pillow. Somebody has no other choice but to sleep on a dirt floor. You don't care for your old suit or dress or pants because it's just not trendy anymore. Somebody needs clothing because they are destitute. You don't want to discuss why you should respect your elders. Somebody just said goodbye for the last time to someone they love. Stop complaining because you think your life is so hard. Of course, there is always going to be someone who has something more or better than you. You always have something more or better than many people. And if you think I'm only talking to children or teens, look in the mirror. Ask yourself what you complain about, and is it something you really think is a valid complaint, or are you just so used to making that complaint that you've forgotten that you really are okay? We can't and really don't need to live in an ivory castle. Castles keep people out. Castles don't allow people in. Well, I hope you all understood that one. It's the grand scheme of things, because that's usually how things are, aren't they? There's always a grand scheme to everything. But before I wax poetically deep, and I do tend to do that, I'm not going to lie, I do. I want you all to know that I had a interesting Valentine's Day. I thought I was going to get dressed and go up and go out, but I didn't. I wound up babysitting my granddaughter. She's a little tiny thing. Her name is Ruby, and we had a wonderful time together. My husband had to work. And that's what happens when you have a life. I actually have a life. Yay! Um, I am Joe Bright, and this is Poetry Song BFD, Battle for Dominance. We all battle for dominance every day, don't we? As I was saying before, Valentine's Day is come and gone. And just to say that you got some flowers or some chocolate, or that you were taken out to a lavish night on the town, or maybe you all got away for the weekend before Valentine's Day. Oh, that is a wonderful thing. I am happy for everyone that has happened to. I personally have been married quite a few years, 26 to be exact, and we've done all that. Do I look forward to more? You better be damn skippy, I do. He ain't getting away with not doing nothing this year. But at the same time, I have to feel some responsibility for it myself because it's not a one way relationship. And ladies, y'all need to make very clear about that. I have a piece called I Feel Like That Girl I Want to Play, and Eureka, Euphoria, and Sleep Naked. My poems come from within me in a place that nobody really knows that much about. Uh, if I told you, then I'd have to find someplace else to write my poetry from. But that's not really the problem. Um, I am going to play Sleep Naked after this, okay? Roadblock. My brain is stuck in a tunnel of words swirling around in my head, and no two want to stick together. But I know how I write. It's the paper and the book, the ink and the pen, the connection the two make when I strike the page. The page being blank, devoid, opaque. I strike out, and there are no words that stick. I mean, they glide out, flow, drip through, but there's no cohesion. So I keep writing, but it feels like pushing against a mountain. There are more words, so I just keep writing like a fist hitting against a brick wall, and the words don't make sense. So I just keep punching until my fingers ache, bleed, until my hand is numb and all the nonsense is gone, like the blaring lights in traffic ignite, and all you can see is the few feet in front of you, but you know your destination because you've traveled that road before, but it feels different, and you know that can't be true because it's the same damn road you were on yesterday. Because the crux of the matter is, I have to be accountable for this life, not my death. When I'm dead, I'm gone, and there won't be no coming back. Not to here, for me. I mean, when I'm done, I'm done. I don't want to leave behind a string of bad decisions that overshadow the good, a heap of debt that makes my life look like I wasted it, a mountain of worries that makes you want to disengage from my last wishes and just leave me unattended. Funny thing is, I never gave my life this kind of thought when I was very young and thought that was what tomorrows were for. But tomorrow is here now and I got business to take care of. Laugh, because it's funny how we put so much to the side. Those little things, big things, hard to handle things for later. They're important too. And the words, they just keep flowing out like a torrential downpour. Each one seeming to be more important than the next until it's all wrung out like a dish towel. See? No cohesion. Hey, y'all, do y'all ever have a time when you think you're going to do something and it's going to take you a minute to do it? And you find out that it's taking longer than a minute to do it. Because when you thought about it, it was like, oh, I could do this and I'll get right back to it. And then something happens and you're like, I didn't mean to do that. And you got to go back. You got to try it again. See, that's kind of like what is happening to me right now. I'm trying to post something on social media. And usually I am the social media strategist, truly. I know how to work social media. But for some reason right now, my fingers don't want to work. I ain't mad at my fingers. Uh, but they're not working right now. And I feel like I'm not giving you all a fair as to what Joe's poetry can do, because that's what I call it on my other networks. I call it Joe's poetry right now. But right, it's called Poetry Song. I'm Joe Bright. I am uh, your host for Poetry Song BFD, Battle for Dominance. Uh, and this is definitely a battle right now because I'm telling you, I am seriously trying to hold things together. I do not know why it is taking me so long to do the simplest thing, but I get ready. It's going to get better. This is my third broadcast. I have one that seemed to come out okay. And it's everything is a learning process, so don't be mad at me. Just stay with me. This is really good poetry. It really is. I'm going to play The Truth Is. You want me to be blunt? Okay, I'll be blunt, but you won't like what I have to say. Because what I have to tell you comes from a place within me where I store shit that bothers me. Shit that makes it difficult for people to look at me. Shit that brings out the part of me that people think that they can handle. But in reality, they just being nosy. The truth is, the last time I called myself laying down the truth the way I see it, one chick took so much offense from what I said, she thought it was aimed at her. But it wasn't. What I said was aimed at people like her. I didn't know her to tell her that kind of truth. I was speaking in generalities, and the person I was referring to, shit, she didn't know him either. Not personally. So don't go letting people know you want to hear the truth because you can take it. Because I know you. You want to hear the truth only as long as it doesn't hurt you, make you think about or contemplate something, step back from a truth you hold dear to, reevaluate yourself or your thoughts or opinions, standards, what you call truth in your life. There's a war going on, and it's being held in the deepest, darkest corners of my mind. And some days I struggle with the possibility of calling a truce. I mean, just a simple ceasefire from the barrage of shells being launched into my psyche. At first, I didn't realize there was a war because I was just poor and living in the projects. The projects. That's where it all started for me. I was pushed head first right into the trenches before I was even old enough to realize that a fight was even on. I was pitted against myself into a battle for my own preservation of self. In the first battle, I lost because I didn't recognize the enemy. But as time went by, there were other battles, and I became more aware of my opponent in each fight. I learned what my strengths were and how to use them for the next battle. One day, the battles changed. The enemy was different. I was older, and the battlefield had changed too. The weapons I had been using weren't working anymore. I became weak and unsure. I had lost this new battle. But I knew just as before there would be a new opponent, and soon, because that's how wars are. You might get a short break and find a little rest, but while you're down, you have to analyze that last battle, figure out where you went wrong, make a new plan of action. I needed new weapons of war, a battle plan that had all new strategies, because I didn't know who this new enemy was. The years have passed and the battles have raged on in the field in my head. I've won more in my head than in life because the enemy keeps changing. When I was younger, the enemy had a head and hands, arms, legs, and feet. I could tell when I had to gear up and stand strong for the fight. As I've gotten older, I've been sucker punched and kicked, and my hair pulled from my head, and my innocence robbed. There is a war going on, and you are just as smart, and you are just as much a part of it as I am. Thrown into the fray by hands meant to care and nurture you. Those same hands that soothe you want to toughen you up for the fight. I'm just going to call a ceasefire because this war needs to end. It shouldn't exist anyway. Well, that was the truth. The truth is, what is poetry song? For me, it is letting you know that I would like for you to listen to what's coming out of my head and my heart. And hopefully, when you do, it will open you up to a better version of yourself. It has opened a better version of me to myself. if I can say that. There are many times in the middle of the night when we have all of these great summations and arguments in our head and we win them. And then comes the light of day, we wake up and, they're gone. I was very bad at that. I didn't take note of the things that I said or thought, and some beautiful things got away from me. Some revelations about life and my life, and the people in them, and the things that moved me. They were just gone. And so one day I started journaling, and I wrote it all down. And I wrote a book, and it's called My Resume. And I sent it out to a publisher many years later because I was very timid. And aren't we all? You'd be surprised how timid most of us are. And I was just one of those people. So I wrote this book and I titled it My Resume, and I sent it off to a publisher. And at the time, I wasn't very smart. And they signed me on and they gave me everything that I needed after I put some money into it because that's how publishing works. Little did I know. So I set myself on this journey to talk to people about publishing, the publishing industry, and becoming an independent publisher. That was back in the fall of 2013. And I started a Facebook page. And it is still called Excerpts from My Resume. Now, the publishing company, who I'm not going to name because they're almost out of business right now, they printed my book. They gave me business. They didn't give me business cards. They gave me a 15-second commercial, which I still use to this day. They are obviously on it. I chronicled my every step that I took when it came to being a part of the independent um, author. I made videos. Before Facebook Live became Facebook Live, I was making videos and putting them on Facebook, and I was sharing my every little step. And that was really good for me. It was a cathartic journey for me, and I call myself trying to help people learn as I learn. It's just like a learn as you go thing. It was the first thing I had ever done, and I thought I don't want to be caught unawares. And unfortunately, I was caught unawares. While they did fulfill their contract, they did and gave me everything that they said they were going to do. It's just that after my book was published, they left me in the dirt. They left me out on the roadside with a box of books and a movie trailer from, and they said, "Bye, see you later. Thank you for the money." So I'm glad that I started that journey of self-publication. The independent publisher today needs all that information, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. It's all in videos. Some of them are 2 minutes, some of them are 9 minutes, depending on the amount of information that you need to discover. I recorded that journey, and it has led me here today. Um, I want to play you this one piece that I recorded. It's called Eureka, Euphoria.
I finally get it. I finally understand it. It has finally made all the sense in the world to me. I see the insanity that makes the people who have the wealth go insane over it. It's really about the power. It really isn't about that need to want to be in control of everything in their purview. That need to make the cogs of humanity to keep squeaking and screaming, moaning and groaning, crying out in pain daily because of all of the strife that they find themselves enduring, because the financial burden that they bear, because of the emotional upheaval of every loss every time they found themselves up against the sands of time, the clock of life, the clock that takes away the moments I dread, all the times when I wished for a better life, when I wished for a new pair of shoes, jeans, a new half, a better home, food, just better circumstances. So I can hold my head up and walk down the street and not look down at my feet that have worn these same shoes forever. On top of these same old socks, they used to pull up to the bottom of my knees. But they were the cutest socks. And these two legs that have stood in righteous indignation because I've spent my entire life trying to get that euphoric sensation that you feel in your brain that tells you when you should feel happy and elated. My feet that learn how to traipse about lightly in a home filled with laughter and shame and agony, filled with love and hate and torture of the heart, because we need to make the right and best and optimal even decisions.